So how in the hell does somebody write 29 final expense applications in a week? Well, I've got Mr. Jay Siskin here, who's an agent with the Dig Agency, to explain that. He actually did this last week, all over the phone, in our free lead telesales division. So we're going to go into detail about that. So Jay, first of all, say hello.
Hey, everybody.
And we also have Tim Hildebrand here, who is our wonderful leader on the telesale side for agents who buy leads, as well as those who are getting leads provided for free. Tim, say hello.
Hello, everybody.
So, Jay, walk us through a week where I just 29 apps. Like, that's a good month as far as I'm concerned, right? How were you able to write this much business in a week? And just walk us through what your process is.
Yeah, absolutely. The week before, it was 19, Tim.
Mhm.
I'm, I've told Tim this, I've told the team this. I'm not really doing anything special. I'm getting up in the morning. I'm checking text messages immediately, see who responded. Overnight. I'm getting on the dialer immediately, unless I have a appointment at 9 or 8 a.m. or what. I always check the night before, but I'm literally just I'm getting on, I'm dialing myself in early in the morning. I get up and work out that way. The blood's flowing and I'm locked in and everything like that. But I'm really not doing anything special. I'm just sticking to Tim's system. With the free leads program, I'm making the dials. I'm trying to hold people accountable to show up appointments. Make sure they're engaged and while I'm on calls, I'm texting people. I'm trying to engage those people who reach back. That way, the quicker I can get to them, the more likely I can get them on the call after, I'm off this appointment or off the call itself. I'm just really following Tim's system.
So, of course, I'm channeling the inner viewer watching this, right? I can hear what they're saying. Bullshit. You're not doing something special, or you're not doing something normal. You're doing something special, right? So, Tim, you've listened to Jay's calls. What is he doing that's so magical? Like
Yeah.
29 apps. It's not 10 or 15, guys. It's 29. Like, tell me, there's got to be some magic sauce here.
Yeah, the week before he did 19, 17,000 AP rounded down. This week he did 29, 24,000 AP rounded down in a week. So, I've listened to, I think, 25 of his calls, 27 now this morning. Just making sure everything is getting in there solid, and there really isn't anything special on the calls, except he's relatable to old people and old people love him. So,
Yeah.
If you like working with old folks and they love you, then that's the only magic sauce I can tell. Otherwise, it is just the script and him relating to people really well and being free to share his personal story, and he really is interested in them sharing their story to some extent. And then, of course, he moves it down the script. And our script is so fast now, you don't need to rush the script. You really want to marinate in the relationship. And then the script will just rush you to the finish line when you're ready to go there. And then his working habits, his working ethic is the thing. So he's doing all of the things all of the time that we trained. And he ran 11-hour days, 5 days a week last week with 101-degree fever. By the way, he did 29 sales and he had a fever 3 days.
Well, he was hot, so I'm not surprised, right? So you're hot, like I said, literally. So
yeah, that's true.
Well, it's funny too. It's funny to hear this, and I'm kind of tongue in cheek in this, Jay. Of course, congratulations. I mean, it's awesome what you're doing, but it comes down to the fundamentals, doesn't it? Like, you got to get on the phone and you got to make the dials. You got to see the people and you got to follow the script. And I think that's one thing I've discovered. Tell me about you. Tell me what you think, but a lot of people don't necessarily follow exactly even like 80 or 90% of what you're supposed to. And then they wonder why they get these divergent results. Whereas you have somebody like Jay, you've listened to his calls, he does what he's supposed to. And it's amazing what happens when you do. Thoughts on that, Tim?
Yeah. And I'll put that back to Jay too. I mean, there's a lot of people, probably most of them, 90%, that will implement 2/3 of it or 50% of it. And, you were uniquely able to just do all of it. You not only called, you texted while you were calling, and you like haunted the texts, and you monitored your appointments, make sure people show up at as much as you possibly can get them to show up, 30% of the time. And so that's it. that's like all the working habits of the system is dial, 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 text while you dial, text back within seconds to the best of your ability, and then get your appointments to show up. And you had, Jay, you had a ton of sales from your appointments, but you also had a ton of sales from your dials, right? I mean, it wasn't just dial, dial, dial.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, that's part of the system. And I will say this. Um, the biggest thing is, and Tim, you know this, if you do not give a crap about people, you're not going to make it in this business. And so, I'm trying to get to the point, as quick as possible, and when I get a hold of them, but I always want to take my time and figuring out their story. Why are they calling? Are they looking for additional coverage, or how long have they been looking? Why has it been taking so long? And usually, what I've come to find out is like, well, paying too much, or I've been looking so long. They always give me 2-year policies, and I'm diving into that. It's like, why are they giving you 2-year policies? Like, oh, I have COPD. I'm like, oh man, how's that going for you? Are you doing okay? And I try to relate to them so much, and I throw my family in there. Like, a lot of the people I deal with, especially with Zika applicants, they um, have past cancer. I'm like, are you doing okay from that? Should I relate to them? It's like, yeah, my aunt and uncle, had cancer, and it's diving into that rapport, and making sure they hear that you care, because they can't see my face, they can't see my body, but they can feel that I care. And I remember this phone call. I think it was Thursday or Friday. I can't remember. It was a lady on oxygen, and she'd been spending so much time trying to find an application. And when we finally I got her approved with Guaranteed Trust Life, she started crying. I mean, I started crying. That's how much I care. The money's fine and all that, but a lot of people tend to focus on that. They want to focus on selling, high as possible. I don't care if I sell my policy, it's $15 a month. As long as I can help them, that's all that matters to me. And whether it's 29 people in a week or one person a week, that's all I care about.
Aptivity is what we like to call it. The money takes care of itself, right? When you do right by the client, that's kind of how we look at it. So
Yeah.
so
And if
good.
there was secret sauce, it is what he just said, is that you have to care about people. I teach that to everybody every week, all the time. And yet then I listen to people's calls and someone says, oh yeah, I beat cancer. And they go, okay. And when did you get cancer? Okay, great. Couple more questions. And you're like, really? Like, you don't care that they beat cancer, the #1 killer of USA citizens in the whole, like, what? Like, you're not gonna at least ask, wow, oh my God, that's amazing. Did Jesus heal you? Or like, how did you beat it? What happened? Come on.
Yeah. Yeah.
But that's what that is, and I'll even reinforce what he's saying. If you don't do any care and you sound perfect as a salesperson, you do my script perfectly, you're not going to get any sales at all. The primary thing you're doing is relating to them and then using the script like a rail to get you to the end quickly.
Right.
Once you picked up the sale, which is happening in the relation.
Yeah. So speaking on the training, Jay, you started what, about a month and a half ago, roughly? Fair to
Yeah,
say?
started at the beginning of January,
Pre
taking calls.
Any
Yeah.
previous insurance sales experience?
Nope.
No, brand new.
Zero.
Okay, cool. What's your thoughts on Tim's training protocol? So again, just for the audience sake, you're in our free lead division, so you get fresh and exclusive leads. You don't have to worry about buying leads. That's how it works with that system. But if you could talk to us about the training, I think the training is so important. We'd like to hear your insight to what the experience is like.
I think Project Titan, what Tim calls it, it is so helpful. In the morning meetings, they're helpful too. It's a 8:30 meeting every morning, and you really, if you care, you want to make it into this industry, you get to that point or that meeting as soon as possible, and during that, you have to participate. And if you participate, you get the reps in, going over the script, because that's the main thing. If you can get the script down and you care about people, then you can do the system. So if you dive deep into it, you can definitely be successful. And with Project Titan, there's so much on there that you can dive into, recorded calls, before mine got uploaded on there, I listened to Josh's, Wendy's, Cinnamon's. There were 3 sets of calls or 4. Some of them had more, for like 12 hours total. And so if you dive into it and you commit to listening to him, listen to his coaching, it's beneficial, and whenever I was going through my, onboarding and all that, we were going through we were transitioning from the old script to the new script, like the older one that was a little bit longer. And I remember on my role play to get into the program, I didn't even practice the new script. I was like, oh, he asked me, "Are you ready to do the new script?" And I was like, "Well, I've never practiced it, but I mean, I'll do it." And the reason why I felt so comfortable is because his training. It was. I mean, the script was different, but it's still the same process.
Right.
It's a little bit different, but you just got to dive into it. If you commit to it, listen to what he's saying. Do the role plays with other people in the classroom. I did probably, I kid you not, probably close to 100 hours worth of role play, like 8 to 8. I wanted to make sure like I had the script down and the process ready to go by the time I did do that final role play to get into the program. That's the biggest thing. You just got to dive into it.
Yeah, that's good. And you took it seriously. That's the thing we try to preach to the new agents is, you may got one shot in this business and that's it. This business is wide open, lots of opportunity, but if you don't put your time in on the front end, learning this stuff, how are you going to survive? So that's good to hear. What do you think about the culture?
Exactly.
What do you think about the culture of the business, the division? I noticed once we opened the Slack group, I mean, like, everybody's super involved, engaged. If you can kind of describe that to the audience, what are your thoughts on that?
I think the culture is absolutely perfect. We have people in there, asking questions who are ready to help you. I remember I was going through an application that I got denied like 6 times. Like, what am I doing wrong?
Wow.
Eventually, I got to the 7th app and I was finally done. But yeah, there's people in there ready to help you. There's people like myself who want to help, but also like want to lighten up like the mood, because I know it's a grind every day, 10-12 hour days, and you get denied apps, you get people hanging up on you, don't want to give you a social, and it gets frustrating. And if you have a team around you that's supportive, that's going to like pick you up, and what Tim always says is 86 everybody. And I see people, and they're like, man, I had a denied application, or I'm going through it. Just like, hey, 86, that's, you just got 86 the calls. And Tim can go over that a little bit, what that means, but you got to put those negative things behind you. And everyone in that group helps you with it. They're supportive. Because they've been, most of those people in there, they've been through what, you've been through or going through,
Right.
And it's the culture. It's so important, but it's tremendous here.
Hey, you want to speak to that, Tim?
Yeah. So for instance, he got 29 sales last week. He had 42 people treat him like dirt and reject him.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you for bringing that up. I was wanting to mention that. Like, so how many people turned you down? So way more than bought. So keep that
We
in mind.
counted. Yeah. I was like, Jay, that was 42 people shot you down. And because people think, oh, he's just in there slamming every single one gets sold. That's not realistic at all. He's got 42 people that either made him feel like dirt, made him think he's a scammer, cuss him out, hang up the phone, not buy when they should. It's just, he didn't let that bother him because we 86 to 86. So we figured out in order to sell 15, you probably got shot down in a sense by 86 people, and there's
right.
In his case, it was 75 pickups and 29 sales. So he has a really good close rate.
Right.
But 86, kill him, forget about him, cut him out of your life, delete him out of your memory, like literally just move on, have amnesia, come join the group. We're all going through the same thing. Forget those people. If you come in and you post, oh, this freaking guy, someone will just post the number 86 to remind you to let it go. We need to go find Mildred, which is the customer.
Our customer. Yes.
Right. Yeah. Mildred's our customer. Mildred and Milton.
Right. So Jay, where do you go after you write 29 apps in a week? What's your goals looking like this quarter?
You know, I really I try not to focus all on the numbers because and I told Tim this, and I told
Let Tim
everybody
do that,
in
he
the team
says.
that yeah, I don't care if I get the sale. That they it's like Tim said, 86. I don't care if I don't get the sale because I move on to the next one, and that could be a sale. If I don't get that one, then I just move on. I don't care about getting the sale. I care about making sure they get the help they need. So if I focus on that, the sales come, with that. So, goals, breaking records, make sure I'm trying to get 30 in a week. I don't focus on that. I focus on the next call ahead,
Good.
making sure they understand me. They know that I care. And if I start like looking down the road or looking at my bank account, like, oh, why isn't this high? Even though I sold like 100 policies, then it's going to throw me off. It's going to throw me off my game. And that would be another piece of advice to people who are onboarding with the agency. You have to focus on the next dial, not the bank account, not the sales. I know you have goals, like you want to have goals. My goal per week, with Tim is I want to get 15 to 20 a week if possible. And if I don't, it's okay. As long as I'm connecting with people, and making sure I'm following the process and everything falls into order. Not everyone's going to buy. Like I said, 42 people didn't want to listen to me. They just wanted to know the price. They didn't care about relating to me. Like, okay, you don't care about that, then move on to the next one who actually cares. There's people out there who actually need our help and not just looking for a number of window shopping, kicking the tires, all that. That's the thing. I want to help 15 to 20 people a week. That's the thing.
Yeah, I think that's probably the core fundamental difference on his phone call. I've listened to everybody else's phone calls too. And that's really it, especially with the new guys who don't relate at all to the person they're on the phone with, and they don't get any sales, therefore. So they do the script really well. They sound really, really good. That's how they got into the program. But then I can't screen them for relating to old people in real life. That has to
Right.
happen on the actual live lead. And turns out they don't sound like they care at all about the things that the people say. So I have to,
Okay.
that's the correction I give to people. And then someone's either going to do it or they're not going to do it. Jay just came out of the gates doing it. I'd also like to ask Jay, what does he think about the one call close versus the two call close idea?
Oh, you have to one call to close it. I would say I was actually thinking about this morning. I think 92%, 93% of my sales are one call. And th- this eats at me because this was at the beginning of my journey. I got connected with it was like an older lead because early in the process, newer guys they work older leads, and intertwined with new leads. And I got connected with this lady named Carol, and she, I wasn't able to, get her on the first phone call, no matter how many times I repeated to her, and trying to get her to, get the application in. I was like, oh, fine, we can let's do this. I'll follow up with you at such, and we'll get the ball rolling again. Because there's some people that you have to do that with, no matter how many times you speak to them. So I got a hold of her. Actually, I tried to follow up with them, and it happened to be her son Scott, who's going to be a beneficiary. And I was like, hey, I'm looking for Carol, and he said, oh, she had a heart attack, she passed.
Oh, wow.
And I try to tell the story to everyone, who I talk to who just want to kick the tires down the road or, kick the can down the road. It's like, you never know what's going to happen. That's why I always want to make sure I get people at least the application in. They're not paying anything today. I mean, they can, but, that's, you always got to reiterate that. But I always want a one call close because it's stuff like that, that still eats at me. I still think about it. It's stuff like that. That's why I focus on getting them on the first phone call, not setting up a follow up appointment because you never know what's going to happen. They're going to get in a car accident, have a heart attack. They could be perfectly healthy. It's just you never know, and they're either going to listen to you and understand that, or they're just going to be stubborn and just ignore what you're saying. It's in the 93% of the time they're going to listen, and the 7% of the time they're just like, I actually just need to sleep on it. I'm like, all right, That's fine. I'm not going to harp on you too much because I mean, I've had sales where they called me back like, "Hey, I want to do this." You have to keep that bridge,
Right.
attached, but you need to focus on getting them on the first call.
Yeah, in a way, not that we want our clients to die and not have them insured, but it's a blessing in a sense that you got to experience that so early in your career. Because I find that most agents have a death claim if they're full time within 6 or 12 months after they get started, and they're like, "Wow, she was just perfectly fine, and then she's dead now." It's like a shocker. It's like you realize the stuff you sell actually makes a difference, right? And then that, if you go down that thought pattern, it's like, wow, what if I didn't rebuttal? What if I didn't encourage? What if I didn't push a little? Maybe it wouldn't have been there to protect the family, and then you realize like how vital you are to the system. Like without your encouragement and pleading, in a sense, evangelizing, if you will, a lot of people won't be protected and families won't be either, it's unfortunate, but it probably helped. It's like, now that's like the fuel to the fire going into all these sales calls, which is great.
Yeah. I really like about Jay's calls too is that he'll tell his personal story. He's open to that, so that means in a sense he might not think of it this way, but it's like a vulnerable story, and 70% of your clients are old grandmothers and stuff, and they like that. You know what I mean?
Sure.
They kind of like that, the young man opening up to her and stuff. They appreciate that. So, which he's just relating well, really well, and then doing all of the things in the system all of the time and not slacking on one of them. Like, oh, I don't really care about appointments, or oh, I don't really text, or I just dial. All this stuff I hear from people, which is totally unacceptable anymore, because now we see what, and he's not the only one we've ever seen. He's definitely gone to the peak that we've ever seen.
Right.
But we've had a lot of people come in and do everything and get 10% close, 14% close on their total lead volume, which is phenomenal because normally it's like 5%. So he did 12.29% close. That's, 200 and something percent better than normal just last week, which is because he's doing all of the thing, and then some. Yeah.
Right.
It's phenomenal. He's an amazing example, Jay. You're an amazing example of just do the damn thing and do it well and care about people.
Right.
Exactly. And I'll add to that, I actively listen for like little things, like, when I'm going through the health questions, do you have any, major or minor health concerns? They're like, oh no, I really only have arthritis, and what I always try to do this. If they have they bring that up, I was like, yeah, I understand that. My grandmother, she tells me every morning an old Arthur knocks at her door, and they get a laugh out of that. Like, yeah, he comes to my door too. Like, yeah, I totally understand that. Or I'll throw it out there. I'm starting to feel a little bit of old Arthur in my lower back. That's true actually, but just they try to get them to open up a little bit, and just like little things like that, and then they're like, oh yeah, this guy's not, just just trying to get me to fall for a sales pitch. I'm actually like trying to relate to you and trying to care and develop a relationship.
Well, Jay and Tim, I appreciate you guys being here. If you guys watching at home are interested in joining the Dig Agency, it's pretty simple. If you go to the link that's below this video, it'll take you to my website. You could also just manually go to daviddufour.com. Watch the video that autoplays there if you're interested. Like, what's this free lead system about? How do commissions work? How does training work? If you want more of that, by going there, watch the video, give you a great rundown of how everything works. It's about 15 minutes long. It's super quick. And then you're welcome to join a Q&A call to ask questions, also to apply if you like what you hear. So we also take agents who sell face-to-face as well. But the telesales is where the trend is in this business. And definitely with Tim's help, who's an amazing trainer, an amazing operator for sure. It's been phenomenal to see the growth of the free lead program on the telesales side, as well as the broker side too. So again, Tim, thank you. And Jay, thank you so much, man. Appreciate your hard work. And if I can do anything for you ever, just let me know.
Thank you, David.
Absolutely. Thank you.
All right, guys, all you out there, thank you for watching. We'll see you.